Dobro jutro, dobar dan, and G Balkan. I just got back from a very successful but intense, you can maybe hear it from my voice, I got a little bit sick as well, trip to the Balkans. We went to ETH Belgrade in Serbia, which was a fantastic event. We sponsored that event with Cosmoverse, had a little booth here, and just made all the connections to promote Cosmos in the Balkans, which is a very rich EVM developer scene that is yet very unfamiliar with Cosmos. And big shout out to Petar, Tanya, and the ETH Belgrade team for organizing a great event. We also met Marco from Super Team Balkan, which is a huge initiative by the Solana community and Solana Foundation, basically, that funds the growth and establishment of Solana communities all over the world. And Super Team Balkan is one of the fastest growing ones. They're active in 11 countries in the Balkans, and they also held a 2-week long program in Split, Croatia, actually, which is the location for Cosmos 2025, by the way. And they just got builders, developers, and hackers together for 2 weeks straight. Also, companies like BitGet, one of the largest exchanges out there, and the Cosmos crew was present there as well. Rob, you can see our marketing director, Zach, leading Cosmos Ventures, and Nena, who is supporting us with BD. So overall, very successful time in the Balkans. Very bullish on Cosmos Split Croatia this year, and I'm going to share more in a second. But looking at the prices during my absence, the markets were flashed more and more. And I feel we're at a point right now, especially with altcoins, of max capitulation. We already surpassed max pain. And we're at a point where people just do not care anymore. They're just so frustrated that either they already left, and you can all tell that by engagement, by interactions, by reach and viewership across all crypto channels, also on crypto Twitter. Sentiment is ultra low and people just do not care. No one talks about fundamentals. It's all about, where is this going? And obviously macro has been brutal as well with ongoing wars. I also shared this on my Twitter. I was actually on a flight back the day when Iran attacked Qatar, and mid-flight my plane had to reroute. So there's a lot of uncertainties on macro globally. A lot of tensions, and that also reflects with risk on assets like crypto. Even though Bitcoin is holding up very, very strong, in the short term, it was a bit shaky and volatile, but it's still above 100K, actually well above 100K as I'm recording this video right now. The Bitcoin dominance just keeps climbing up and altcoins keep bleeding. We see Atom at $4, Injective $11, Celestia $1.61, dYdX below 50 cents, Akash went below $1 the other day. Mantra never recovered from that brutal crash just a couple months ago. Babylon below 5 cents, Osmosis 15 cents. Those are crazy, crazy valuations. And I think it's getting to a point where you also have to look at is this team actually still funded? Do they still have runway? Are the founders still engaged? Are they still active? Or where is this going? Are they ever going to recover? And for some of these projects, the answer is probably no. And some of these projects are just trying to pivot and save, save the project, save the token price, and they will just do everything possible to survive. Right now, some of these projects are in pure survival mode, but then there's also other projects that have decent runways, and Atom is one of them, Fetch is one of them, Say, which I did not mention just now because they actually went on a little bit of a run, which has reasons as well, which we're going to cover in a second. But some of these projects, many of them actually do have decent runway within the Cosmos ecosystem, right? So Say, Injective, Celestia, I'm not sure about Kava, but dYdX, Axelar, Akash, they all have decent runways. And I think sooner or later, some of them will catch bids and will reclaim all-time highs. But the main coin that has to catch a bid and needs to start running in order to trigger a Cosmos season, which we all urgently deserve, simply because Cosmos is also one of the most innovative technological projects and ecosystems in all of crypto, which is an undeniable fact that a lot of other ecosystems and developers also acknowledge and recognize. But at least until now, the tech could not trigger or carry the price to the upwards. And the Cosmos Hub, even though it's still in the top 100, which I believe is also an underestimated achievement for a cooked coin that has been declared dead many, many times over the past years. Atom is still in the top 100, but it's still lost ranks, right? It's currently, as per CoinGecko, in 61 or 62, something like that. So it urgently needs to get back to the top 50, 40, 30, hopefully 20, and eventually top 10 for Cosmos to really have a true season and for the Cosmos ecosystem to also collectively catch a bid. However, on the other hand, it's also important to notice that Atom has one big strength that many of the other coins do not have, and that is resilience, time in the market, deep liquidity. Atom has a very deep market, well distributed. And one of the metrics that I want to highlight here that I've been covering over the past years is the fact that the bonded ratio has been going up only over the past couple of months. at a 16.1 or 16.4% staking APR, very appealing to many hodlers over the years that have just been staking and compounding over the years. They're actually not too bad, considering the price is still at $4, but with the compounded staking, they could mitigate some of these losses in price performance, right? But 59.7% bonded ratio, which actually bottomed out around 6-7 months ago, just before the Skip acquisition was announced, where the bonded ratio fell below 53.5%, something like that, and since then just went up only. So that indicates long-term confidence by investors, and it also indicates that there are buyers out there that are willing to lock up their Atom for 3 weeks, assuming that they're probably not familiar with the liquid staking module. That shows that there is still a community out there, or investors or holders, that believe long-term in Atom, right? And I definitely consider myself one of them. And I still think that Atom will catch a bit. And Aiden from Stride broke it down nicely here. The bull case for Atom in 2025, which is the fact that the ICF, Interchain Foundation, is now a live player led by Mac and Barry, the co-CEOs of Interchain Labs, which is the operational arm of the Interchain Foundation, plus 40 more teammates that are working on product market fit for the Cosmos Hub with a 10+ year runway, which is very rare in crypto. So for the first time ever, basically, you have the foundation taking accountability and taking the fate of Atom in their hands. He also points out what I just mentioned, which is that Atom has been in the top 100 forever, which in itself is a big achievement. And that was without ICF's leadership and kind of contributions. So imagine what it could do if there is now a strong, aggressive roadmap and actively kind of building out the Atom ecosystem, which is exactly what is cooking right now behind the scenes. So we do have Stride decks lined up. We already know that, which was supposed to be coming in June, July. I think more realistically, it's going to be August, September, maybe even October. I guess at this point, they should just consider launching it at Cosmoverse right away, which is in late October. But Mac also saying that, yeah, last time they had a 15% USD yield in Cosmos. It became the third largest chain in history, surpassing Solana, indicated like referencing Terra basically. And this tweet also got a lot of headwind, by the way, of course, because we all know what happened to Terra. But Max saying this time they want to do something that is fully collateralized, and they are actually looking for people to help build that out. And in fact, there is already a team that is currently in their fundraising that is building that 15% high yield savings protocol. That is something that is cooking and very, very aggressively building out a product for the Cosmos Hub for Atom that would basically attract real users, right? Because right now users on the Cosmos Hub are basically stakers, at least the vast majority. Of course, we have kind of Stride, we have also Alice Network, right? And some other applications that are on the Cosmos Hub already. But yeah, I think they're trying to build a killer product that has a very, very appealing use case, and a high yield savings protocol definitely has a huge market, but we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. And obviously, I think there's still a lot of scars and PTSD from the Terra/Anchor times back in the days. But we're also seeing more and more people, OGs coming out and praising the Skip team, now the ICL team, for their integrity, for what they have been building over the past years, and also for their plans moving forward. So Natalie coming out praising them. Also, we see Chris Berniski, who is an absolute OG and the founder of Placeholder VC, who was retweeting a lot of them. And that's also because Chris has been an investor into Skip Protocol, now ICL. So there's some alignment there. Mark also saying the upcoming Hub EVM ecosystem is shaping up to be very strong. So they also want to double down on the EVM with the launch of Cosmos EVM sometime around August, September as well. So alongside the Stride DEX launch, they actually want to launch the EVM on the Cosmos Hub as well. Permissionless EVM, that is. And I think that is also going to inaugurate a new era for EVM developers to directly deploy their contracts on the Cosmos Hub. Well, in that context, we're also pleased and proud to announce the headline sponsor and Cosmos track owner for Cosmoverse 2025 in Split, Croatia, late October this year. We made a full announcement around that. Also, if you are planning to come to Cosmoverse, you can still get your tickets right now. We just launched the general admission tickets, which you can find on our website after the early bird tickets sold out. If you're a loyal Cosmoverse attendee, then you also have the chance to apply or check eligibility basically for your loyalty pass. And for all executives, founders, investors, VCs, you can also get an executive ticket that will have its own agenda, including an invitation to our opening dinner, to a VC brunch, VC soiree, and a very sick penthouse at the conference venue, which is a very, very sick venue, which we also landed a decent deal for, €105 at this hotel where I just went to. And yeah, it's just an unbeatable location, unbeatable price right at the beach. So we have direct beach access. In fact, 2 beaches right there, a beach club, rooftop terrace, and a lot more. So this is the vibe for Cosmoverse 2025. Secure your ticket, book your accommodation right at the conference venue, and I'll see you in Split. Now, we mentioned SEI briefly, but there's more cooking and reasons why SEI has been pumping recently. One of them is because Canary Capital seeks SEC approval for the first SEI ETF with staking, and there's apparently a decent chance for that ETF to be approved. And if that would go through, I think this would be ultra bullish, of course, for SEI. Then also Circle, which just did an IPO, and Circle is obviously one of the largest stablecoin issuers. And stablecoins in general are going to get a lot more attention and credibility after the passing of the Genius Act for stablecoins in the US. And Circle, one of the largest investors into SEI, holds more SEI tokens than any other token on its balance sheet, according to its IPO filing, which is very, very interesting. Then also, SEI mindshare up 216% in the past 24 hours, outpacing giants like Pengu, BNB, AVAX, Sol, and Hype. Then SEI TVL up and to the right, only $563 million in TVL on their chain. We've been covering this since a very, very long time, and also highlighted some of their top DeFi applications in their ecosystem. And then we also have the state of Wyoming selecting SEI for its official stablecoin pilot, ranking ahead of Sui, AVAX, Ethereum, and Ripple. So they have a ranking, how they score blockchains out there, and SEI achieved the highest ranking on there, and is now also part of the pilot for the Wyoming stablecoin project. So overall, very, very bullish news for SEI Network. And it is a good coincidence that I have an interview scheduled with SEI Labs co-founder Jay. Round 2, we did one in December of 2022, long before SEI actually launched, and here on this YouTube channel. And now Jay is coming back, and we're actually doing a recorded video tomorrow. So if you have questions for Jay, please drop them below this video as soon as you can. And we're going to talk about their SEI Circle relationship, why or how SEI is moving away from Cosmos after they have discontinued support for Cosmosm, and potentially also discontinued support for IBC. Obviously, we want to try to keep them in the IBC world, but yeah, we're going to find all of that out from Jay in the interview that is coming this week. Also, the SEI ecosystem and lessons learned from 2 wild years in crypto. Now, moving over to the ASI Alliance, which is basically the merger between Fetch.ai, SingularityNet, Ocean Protocol, Kudos, and a couple more that all merged onto the Fetch.ai chain, which is a Cosmos chain. So ASI is a full-on Cosmos SDK project at this point. And yeah, the Fetch token price 66 cents right now, 8.3% staking APR at a 3% inflation and 35% bonding rate. Why am I bringing this up? Well, because Interactive Strengths, which is actually a fitness company, a Nasdaq-listed company, that just announced that they're going to buy $500 million worth of Fetch. So apparently this is the MicroStrategy for Fetch. They're buying Fetch tokens on the open market. Humayun, the founder of Fetch, also addressed that this is not an OTC deal, but they're buying this on the market. And Humayun also further mentioned that the Fetch Foundation is conducting a $50 million buyback program of Fetch tokens from the market on multiple exchanges. So very interesting, all these things and developments around the Fetch token. Then we have the launch of the NAM token, finally after months that Namada mainnet was live, but now NAM is trading at a $27 million FTV, so quite underwhelming, which also means the airdrop is actually quite small. However, on the other hand, I think you always have to choose what you prefer, right? Do you want low float, high FTV, which means you're probably getting a decent airdrop, or do you want lower entries when the token drops and have the chance to accumulate even lower than VCs did, which in Namada's case, I think is very unique, because I think, as far as I'm aware, they never did a fundraiser for Namada, but only for Anoma. And while Anoma is still in the works, Namada already hit mainnet and also their TGE. So that's Namada. And let me know what your thoughts are. I guess at this point, there's nothing much to talk about for these type of airdrops. But yeah, eventually, hopefully, my personal conviction as well, the bull market is coming back, Cosmos will catch a bit, and we're going to see some decent airdrops coming up, because there will always be new launches. There would always be new tokens to come out. And with it also always new airdrops around the corner. But anyway, Namada launched, the token is live, and they're now planning to connect to Bitcoin, Solana, and Ethereum, as it seems, with their shielding protocol. So you can also now use Namada, and alongside Penumbra, Those are the top two shielding protocols in Cosmos. You obviously also have Shade Protocol on Secret Network. That is also one of the OGs out there. So privacy and confidentiality is definitely a niche that is dominated by Cosmos technology, at least in my view. We're going to see what comes out of that in the next kind of bull run, if privacy is going to catch a bit as an ecosystem, as a narrative. We also have Nillion that just recently launched as well. So yeah, that's all about that. Now, then we also have Osmosis that just celebrated their 4th birthday, which is something that I will forever share with Osmosis because that's also my birthday, June 19th. So happy belated birthday to Osmosis. The Osmo third inning also went down with the birthday, because every year, as part of the tokenomics design, the inflation goes down by 1/3. And this time it went down from 9% to 6%. Staking APR is still at 9.23%. Also, Polaris went live, is now out of open beta. And yeah, Polaris is one of the best dApps out there for multi-chain trading, basically. We did a quick tutorial about that a few weeks back. And I'll also invite you to check out Polaris, play around with it. There will also eventually be a revenue share between Polaris and the Osmo token. So Polaris will not have their own token, but instead leverage the Osmo token for their kind of value accrual and revenue share mechanism. In that context, we're also proud to announce the largest Cito earn campaign ever. And I invite everyone who is listening right now, if you are a creator on whichever platform, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube or Twitter, or LinkedIn, if you create engaging content, real, authentic, organic content, no ChatGPT stuff, but a real piece of content, a video, a blog post, an article, whatever it is, a tutorial about Polaris, then you can participate in our campaign, which is a very big one. So we have a $2,000 USDC prize pool plus 1,000 Osmo tokens plus 3 mad scientists. And this prize pool is funded by the dYdX Quadratic funding campaign. Also, mad scientists chimed in the Osmo and mad scientist pool. So that is the campaign. You have to apply and submit your content by July 9th. So be quick, go on our website and you'll find this form at cito.zone. We also have our own Cito Earn tab now. But yeah, this is basically how you participate, submit your content, and then you're participating here in this raffle. And if you appreciate what we're pushing out from the Cito Zone with Sebmos and Tang leading the research here at Cryptocito and the Cito Zone, then give us a follow on Twitter. Also check out all the tokenomics guys. There's more coming. We actually have one cooking right now for the TIA tokenomics. And I think those deep dives give you a great overview of the state of the token and also help you with your own research before investing into a coin. We also publish market reports with our market insights format and a lot more. And all of that is provided also with early access to our Cito Plus members, which is a premium community platform where you can get access by subscribing for $39 a month. Also, of course, everything that we do at the Cito Zone is free to access. We publish that on Twitter to our newsletter subscribers, which is also free to subscribe to. But Cito Plus is just a more refined kind of interchain customer support, if you will, right? If there's airdrops, we do custom notifications. If anybody has any question, we have a premium Discord as well, where we answer that. And some of the feedback from people is really, really nice because you can see money in the back saying, love this safe environment, a very supportive community here. So blessed, Sebmos, Mike, and all of them involved there. So there's also a community that is now kind of helping each other. And I think this is very, very helpful, especially in the bull run, but also in the bear market to kind of navigate, to stay motivated, to keep up the good vibes and momentum, and just make it through the bear market, right? I did the same in 2018, 2019, 2020, right? Also very, very tough times. But just being part of a core community that is still forward-looking, positive, ambitious, bullish, excited, passionate, and that also is willing to help each other, to alert about airdrops, all these kind of things. I think this is very, very helpful. Now, finally, some quick news to share. First off, we have a new NFT collection, the official Akash Network AKT collection, the first one denominated in AKT, Spice Agents, minted at 10 AKT. I personally missed the mint. I was with my family on that day and didn't have access to my wallets anyways. But anyways, this collection, I might pick up a few here. I think 14 AKT, around $15 right now. Sounds like a steal, like a good deal. Also, there's currently the Akash Accelerate conference going on around permissionless in the US in New York. So Greg Azuri did a speech there. I still have to catch up with some of the talks from that conference, but looked like a great success. Big shout out, Amanda, great job for putting together an event. In this market environment, attracting this crowd is very, very yeah, very, very respectable. So well done. And maybe after Greg has some time to decompress from the conference and from a busy week at permissionless, he will start accumulating some Spice Ages too. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted on that here as well. Then we also have the Sloth father, Zaki, announcing his comeback to the Sloth community. Celestine Sloth have been, going through a very brutal time. I have not personally caught up on everything in detail, but there were a lot of FUD and a lot of controversy around the leadership, around the core community members. And now I think Zaki is back. They also have launched a new format, the Lazy TV, where they're also inviting guests there. So yeah, definitely interesting to see that. Speaking of Sloth, which is the flagship NFT collection alongside Mammoths, of course, for Celestia, the tier price got absolutely destroyed, $1.61. A lot of FUD, huge FUD. Some of them probably also, some of that FUD also was probably deserved, but some of that also wasn't, right? And I personally am still very, very bullish on Celestia. I think it's one of the smartest, best teams out there. I've been in touch with them and covering them and interviewing them since late 2021, so very, very long time ago. And in fact, we also had them at Cosmoverse Lisbon in 2021, when they were still called Lazy Ledger. So I've been knowing them for a very long time. The price, however, is very, very low, 161, which in my view is obviously a big opportunity. But obviously each to their kind of own assessment and decision making here. Staking APR is still 12.25% with a 7.2% inflation. And that is very interesting because there was a proposal dropped by co-founder John Adler, who has been my interview guest here for Celestia around 4 years ago. And yeah, we should probably be doing round 2 at some point. But John dropped a proposal to basically entirely remove staking from Celestia and replace it with proof of governance. So entirely getting rid of the inflation for TIA by a factor of 20x, basically. There would still be a minimal inflation rate of 0.25% that would go straight to validators to kind of incentivize them to secure the chain. But there will not be a delegation anymore. There will not be staking anymore for retail. Instead, this would be replaced by a proof of governance mechanism. I have not read the full proposal. There's still so much I need to catch up. Just being 1 week away from the screen or 2 weeks means you're basically starting again from zero in crypto. But interesting proposal here. I think this definitely caught some interest from the broader crypto community as well. And yeah, John is one of the co-founders of Celestia, so that kind of is an internal leadership proposal here that is now on the forum. So we'll see and keep track of where this is going. Mustafa, who is the original founder, I would say main founder, but yeah, officially co-founder of Celestia, also addressed some of the FUD, which also got more FUD because some people are saying you're not addressing the concerns of the community. But he's basically saying that Celestia, its core founders and early employees are still there and working as hard as they did when they launched or started working on Celestia 5 years ago. And he's been in crypto since 2010. Obviously, we did this huge deep dive on Celestia and Mustafa's ties and early crypto journey. He's actually an absolute OG, hacked the CIA a long time ago when he was 16 or something. And yeah, he's also saying all tokens eventually have their 95% drawdown, but they still have a $100 million war chest, a 6+ year runway, which also some people pointed out how is 100 million only enough for 6 years? Just $333,000 a year per person, which is wild. But obviously there's also operational stuff and other expenses. But yeah, 100 million, 6 years runway is a bit low. I would also think 100 million is probably enough for 10, 15 years, but whatever. But anyways, I'm personally still bullish on TIA. As I mentioned multiple times, I think those prices right now are interesting to accumulate. And I think Celestia eventually is going to make it, right? And obviously right now, the main concern is that TIA does not generate any revenue, which is true. They're saying that this is a conscious design decision, but yeah, we'll see if they are doing this right strategic move here by keeping fees basically negligible, which means no revenue, but that also means kind of poor economics for the whole ecosystem. Anyways, we'll keep you posted. Also, Saga, currently at 22 cents, 4.5% staking APR with a 3% inflation, also wants to massively cut on inflation. There's a proposal which basically would replace the inflation and pay out validators or stakers from the community pool instead, which I still have to fully read this proposal or idea, but apparently this is coming. So Saga, another one that wants to really aggressively cut inflation, but also Saga is one of the teams that is very strong. They have a huge team, a decent runway, good strategic partners and investors, has never seen a bull run. Same for Million or Story Protocol or Berachain, right? That also went through a lot and their token prices just went down only. But in my view, those tokens are more likely to make it than not, because for all the reasons I just mentioned. And some of these are also gaining more and more steam, right? So like Saga DEX, for example, weekly trading volume has been up only since it basically launched in March, right? So those are all things we have to kind of keep track of, and we will do that here in this channel. Also keep in mind that Saga right now has their Vault 12th airdrop right now that you have to claim. You have 2 days left to claim that airdrop. Then probably when it gets distributed, just stake it again and be eligible for the next round while this bear market continues, unless of course you say, man, I'm done, I'm out, I don't want to hear anything about Saga anymore. Anyways, that's it for today. Call to action is leave your question for Jay, the co-founder of SEI Labs, below this video. Stay tuned for that interview to drop here on YouTube, but also next in the coming days. I'll see you very soon on Cryptocito. Until then, stay safe and be good.